what's happening, everybody? Welcome to TRJ. Alright, so welcome to the TRJ Studio. The reason why I wanted to do this video for today is I wanted to show you guys a bit of a behind the scenes of a jewelry manufacturing studio, and also to kind of show you that when you are starting out, you really don't need a massive studio in order for you to create the jewelry that you want to make. The studio can be small as long as your ideas are big. And you'll see that our studio it's not the biggest studio, but we do get a lot of work done. So as soon as you walk into the studio, the first thing you'll see is we have our notice board over here. So the reason why I have it covered in newspaper is because there's a lot of private information on here, and I do not want to necessarily show all my clients' information. So what basically we have on here is our upcoming orders, our confirmed orders, and basically a to-do list of things that we have to do. So that's the first thing you'll see over here. When you come in a little bit further, you'll see my workstation. So this workstation has been split into two sections. The first section is my actual workbench on the left, and then on the right hand side is where my computer is, and that's where all my administrative stuff happens. So we'll start on this side. Oh yeah, and obviously my chair. I'll just move my chair out of my way. So as you come to the actual workbench itself, you'll see my setup. And as I mentioned, you do not need a lot of things in order for you to start. If you look very carefully at this bench, you'll see that this is an actual door. All right, so what we did is we got this bench and I then cut it into this groove over here so that I can have a space where I can actually make my jewelry. All you need is a bit of creativity. If you have that, trust me, you'll be able to do anything. And then I had a frame made. So this is just steel that was welded together, and then I kind of had it made specifically to the size of the door, and that's how I created the bench. Okay, so what we have on the bench over here, as I said, we have all the tools that we will need over here. I've got my hammers that I need. I've got my jeweler's hammer, I've got my riveting hammer, and I've got my mallet over here. This side is all my mandrels that I need. And over here, I've got my paintbrush that I use to clean my skin. I've got my and I've got my ring clamp, and I have a little sieve which I use for cleaning out any of my filings that I have. And if you'll notice, I basically keep everything in little glass jars from coffee containers that I have, or just anything that I have in the house that as soon as it's finished, I use that. Again, a bit of creativity. You don't need to have a massive thing that costs, let's call 15,000 rands, for you to be able to have something that is usable. I've got my pliers over here, a whole range of them. Over here I've got my dividers, I've got some tongs, I've got my brass brush, I've got my needle files. Over here I've got my files. Basically everything that one will need, I have them kind of set up on this side of the bench. Also, I've got just some work that I'm busy working on over here. This is just some work that we are currently in production with. and that's what I'm basically making. That's why you'll see them laying over here. Another thing that I'd like to mention is this is a handheld torch. So in rather bigger studios, you'll find that they have gas and oxygen stations where they'll do a lot of the annealing. When you're starting out, all you'll need is a little handheld torch. I got this on an online store, let me not mention its name, and it cost me about 800 Rand. And I mean, this is perfect for annealing. It's not strong enough for melting metal, unfortunately, but it will get the job done when it comes to annealing and that kind of stuff. If you want to do any of the small stuff, this is perfect for that. All right, let me put this way. And then over here, I've just got my rolling mill mounted on the center of the bench. Obviously, I'll explain a little bit about what the tools do in other videos, but this is basically for rolling metal, but I'll go into more detail with that later. And as I said, on the right hand side, this is our computer. So every morning I'll come in here and I'll basically check on my emails to see if there's any other orders that have to be confirmed, looking at things like our e-commerce store that has to be updated. Whatever the case might be, everything happens on this computer here. Here is my log. So this log is basically from the bark of a tree which was then cut, and this is basically where I do all of my hammering. So if there's anything that has to be hammered, maybe a ring shank that I'm trying to bend, or I'm trying to flatten any metal, it happens on this over here. I don't want to be hammering on this bench because it isn't welded to the ground and it does make a lot of noise, whereas this absorbs all the noise and I can kind of hammer as hard as I need to. Behind that, this is our pickle station. So no, I'm not cooking anything. This is basically the acid that cleans all the jewelry that after you've done annealing or anything kind of soldering or anything that involves fire, you kind of put your jewelry inside here. So basically it's a acid solution mixed with water, and you heat it up. The reason why you heat it up is heat helps with the cleaning process as opposed to leaving it cold. You can work with it cold, but the heat helps the cleaning process to happen a lot quicker. And yeah, that's basically it that we have in the studio. I really think, the whole purpose of me doing this video today is I wanted to show just the creativity that one will need in order to start. You really don't need a lot. If you have an idea and you have a space and you just kind of put your head down and you think of creative ways of getting around any of the problems that you might have, you too can have a studio that you can start working from. Thank you so much for tuning into this video. If you have any comments, any suggestions about future videos that you'd like, please do not hesitate to drop them down in the comment section. Until next time, more videos to come. Peace.